Well, we wanted the perspective of someone who's been in the telecom industry. So we found John Egger, former vice president of CBS, former counsel to the FCC, telecom lawyer, and head of the communications department at San Diego State University.
For many years, I represented individuals as well as multinational corporations. For 7 years, I was with CBS as a New York-based executive. No invention ever, not the telephone, the fax machine, citizens band radio, took off quite like the internet. In fact, the world could be wired within a decade. I mean, think about that. It's growing at such a rate that 6 billion people will have access to the internet, probably by the cell phone, within a matter of years. Well, the founder of the World Wide Web, Tim Berners-Lee, has said we're only 5% into a whole revolution. 3 billion people on the planet Earth now live more productively, get information instantly. It has changed people's perception of themselves and the world in which they live. It's given them more power. Information is power. So by giving more people information, we've made them better citizens because they're more informed. Most governments do not like this. This is very upsetting because people now have information. You have to realize that the concept of the nation state, the idea that there be elections and so on, is really only a couple hundred years old. Before that, we had kings and queens and tribal leaders. We still have those. And some people think that we're heading back that direction. Dynasties, and tribal leaders fed by multinational contributions that are stealing the internet away from the people again. What the internet is a tool of democracy. It's a technology that empowers people worldwide. Most people don't know this yet. They just think it's a wonderful little tool. But it is such a marvelous tool because it has freed people. A lot of governments, Pakistan banned the use of the internet during the rough patch. Afghanistan, no internet. Burma, these are all recent episodes of governments who have banned the internet, banned all communications, because communication systems, and the internet in particular, informs people. And if you're going to take over a government or control matters, you don't want an informed public, do you? Well, all of the so-called net neutrality bills have not made it out of the Congress. And there are a lot of reasons for that.
What are the pros and cons of making net neutrality law?
Well, there's only pros right now. Unfortunately, there is not yet a constituency to tell Congress that we need this law. We need to keep the internet open and free. It's crazy today that we're competing on facilities, on infrastructure, when we should just compete on services. The infrastructure needs to be built. And whether it's the government, the federal government, or local governments, or state governments that do it, isn't important. It needs to get done, and it needs to get done immediately, so that we can offer very cheap service to everyone, to every man, woman, and child, to rich and poor alike, to rural and urban. Everybody needs to have broadband internet, and it should be done for pennies. There are many countries in the world that are offering the internet at $5 a month or $10 a month at 13 times faster speeds than they can get it here in this country. We are 19th in the world. For the greatest economy in the world to be 19th, it just doesn't make sense. YouTube, all the other social networking sites are allowing people to create interest groups. They're doing it mostly for entertainment and leisure, but they need to ask themselves some fundamental questions about why they're here, what it means to be human. And just once, every so often, get involved in a political issue, become active citizens. If they don't, then capitalism will run roughshod over them. I mean, capitalism really isn't a person, isn't an ugly head any more than God is a woman. I don't know. I mean, what capitalism is. I don't know the answer to religion either. But I do think that people, as long as they're here, need to get involved and make the world a better place. And that means giving more people a power over their own lives. It means getting involved. If you know that if you've had the experience of communicating on the internet, then you need to get involved. It's that simple.
So, what can we do? Right now, Congress is getting ready to vote on H.R. 5353, the Internet Freedom Preservation Act.
Today's hearing is on legislation offered by myself and my subcommittee colleague, Mr. Pickering from Mississippi, entitled the Internet Freedom Preservation Act of 2008.
But whether or not this bill passes depends on you. Below the TV, you'll find a list of action tools that you can take to make your voice heard. So who's going to decide if net neutrality becomes law? Corporations or you?
It almost seems that the telecom companies' takeover of the internet is inevitable and unstoppable. But let us not forget the voices of 1.6 million people strong that were heard and led to the punishment of Comcast. History has shown us time and time again that the voices of the people outweigh the dollars of the elite. Let us not forget the marches in our nation's capital demanding civil and gender rights, or the thousands of student protesters that helped bring an end to the Vietnam War. The preservation of our internet freedom is still within our grasp. If having net neutrality is your truth, please help Representative Ed Markey pass Bill H.R. 5353, the Internet Freedom Preservation Act. And if you're not quite sure how you can help, go down to our Tool of Action section below. You'll find a list of petitions, links to your congressman or woman, and various other things, so that you can figure out how your voice is going to be best heard, because your voice is the one that matters. The freedom of our internet and our First Amendment rights are at stake. So, will you take a stand? Thanks for watching the network. See you soon.